Welcome to Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, back again with another episode, y'all. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about ODing, people that OD in the penitentiary, and how it has personally affected me. I lost one of my partners in here, one of my homeboys, to a drug overdose. And it really hit home to me, you know, when I realized that I wouldn't see him again and how he went out. So I want to tell you that story, you know what I'm saying, so to give you some insight into, how crucial it is in here when it comes to those drugs, right? So sit back and I hope that this episode here gives you something to really think about. If you have somebody that you love that's involved in getting high in here, talk to them. Because in here, they fall down over in here, you might not get up, right? You might not get up. One of my homies, man, I don't want to even call his name, man, out of respect for his family, because I don't want them to think that I'm sharing his story, for any kind of gain or anything like that, right? But I'm going to call him Jay, right? And Jay was in here, man, on some dope charges. He had a 60-year sentence. They hit him with that school zone. But he got his case overturned, and he actually had gotten out at one time. But the higher courts reversed it, and he had to report back to prison to finish that 60 years. And while he was in here, he was fighting his case. But he was getting bad news back from the courts. And when I was still around him at the time, I could see that the hope was leaving his eyes. Because when he first came back, he felt like that he would be getting back out, that he wouldn't have to do that 60 years. Because when you on a school zone case, before they changed the law in Tennessee, you're going to do that. You're going to do 85, 100% of that, day for day. And, at this time, he was already in his late 40s, early 50s. And this was, I'm going to say, early 2000s. Early 2000s, yeah. Before 2008, somewhere around there. But he knew he couldn't do that, but he felt like he was going to get out. And as he's getting his answers back from the courts, and they were not turning out to be the type of answers that he was hoping to get, he was losing hope. And I noticed that he was using more and more drugs. He's smoking, weed, cocaine, hair. He was doing it all. And even people were coming to me telling me that he owed them money. He's stealing people's packs. All kind of stuff was being put on his name. He even had one guy to beat him up about a pack, and I had to intervene in that just to make sure that he didn't get hurt, because he's a little fella. And it used to hurt me to watch him struggle with the realities of his situation. But that's what happens in here. Think about that, y'all. You do all of the things that you do out there. Whatever you're doing out there in the streets. You don't imagine that these people will give you so much time on a sentence that to do it, you have to be born again. And I'm not talking about being baptized, y'all. It's real talk. But they will. They will lay you down in here. You'll find yourself like me, being in prison longer than you were on the streets. Think about that. I have spent more time in prison than I was ever free. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? So my homeboy Jay, he was using that heroin. Real tough. Real tough, y'all. And a couple of times he had OD and he didn't die. This is before, I heard about that Narcan being available like it is today in prison. The nurses, they saved his life. And I'm talking to him and he's telling me that he's done. He's going to leave it alone. And I believed him. Every time that he told me he was done, I believed him. But the realities of his situation were weighing so heavy on him, man, that I think that he wanted to die. I think that he wanted to die and he didn't want it to hurt. And that's how a lot of people in here are. They use drugs to escape their realities. The realities are the consequences that are attached to whatever it is that they've done to be here. And it's hard because there's no escaping it. There's no getting away from it. If they give you 60 years, you're going to do 60 years or whatever percentage of the 60 years. And then they're going to give you an opportunity to get out. And in the meantime, in between time, you have to deal with whatever it is that goes on in here. Just like the rest of us. And it's hard to deal with. It's hard to get up every day, walk down the sidewalk to the chow hall, eat the same oatmeal or the same dry cereal or the same eggs or the same grits day after day after day, month after month, year after year. The menus don't change. The surroundings don't change. I bet you I could tell you how many cracks are in the sidewalk when I walk down the sidewalk. And he could too. You become so familiar with everything around you that it's almost like it's an insanity. It's a process to insanity. And you get tired of seeing the same old things. So you do things to try to shake it up. You do things to try to change what you see. And drugs to do that for you. Yes, we know that when you come down, nothing has changed. We know that. But for those few minutes that we are high, when you get high, I don't get high, y'all. We escape that. And when you escape that, you try to find a way to get around all of the things that are going on in your life. And drugs help you do that. That's what a lot of people in here believe. But it's not true. But my homie, what happened to him was tragic. I had gotten transferred to another institution. And he was heavy on that heroin. Heavy. I knew it before I left. I would get messages because he would reach out to me through the mail or through my sister. He would reach out to me asking for money. And he wouldn't want me to send it to him. He would want me to send it to somebody else. Somebody that he was probably buying the drugs from. And a couple of times I did it because I didn't want to see him get into a worse situation because he couldn't pay his debt. But I stopped doing it. I stopped doing it. And instead I would try my best to encourage him to leave it alone. If you stop using, you won't have that problem. Ask for help. And I think that was the last thing that I said to him. Ask for help. Because it's available. It's available. But you gotta want it. So probably about 2 years after that, I got a letter in the mail from a mutual friend of ours telling me that Jay had died. And he wanted me to know that Jay had not died from a gang war, but he had died from an overdose. Because Jay was affiliated and he had rank. And if people thought that another gang had killed him or done something to him, it would cause a war across the state. And he wanted me to know because he knew that I would get in touch with his family and let them know that it wasn't gang related. And I did that. And it was probably one of the hardest letters that I ever had to write. I wanted to tell them in person, but I didn't have their number to call. So I wrote them, and I told them what happened. And I never got a letter back from them. But I know they got it, I know they read it, and I know they know about it because they told my family out there to tell me thank you for letting them know what happened. But I just wanted to let you know that he had a chance. He got out. The courts reversed it. He came back. And then he gave up. He gave up. And I want to encourage you, don't ever give up. Laws change. You got to keep fighting. And as long as you have air in your lungs and God in your heart, there's a chance. There's a chance. Just wanted to drop that on you. I don't know what else I can say, so I'm going to leave it at that. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.